Syria's civil war has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and created more than 2.3 million refugees. But nearly 3 years after it began, much remains unclear, even down to who is fighting whom. The opposition, which spends as much of its time fighting amongst itself as with Assad's government, breaks down to 4 overall groups: the Free Syrian Army, Al-Qaeda-inspired rebels, Islamist groups, and Kurdish fighters. The most well-known rebel group is the loose-knit Free Syrian Army, known as the FSA. Composed mostly of civilians and army defectors, it also includes some Islamists. Its units are increasingly autonomous, not listening to the leadership and focusing on their individual pockets of territory. Increasingly, the fragmented FSA is being eclipsed by more influential rebel groups, including radical Islamists inspired by Al-Qaeda. There are 2 main Al-Qaeda-inspired groups. One is officially blessed by Al-Qaeda's central leadership, and another was recently rejected by them. Motivated by calls to jihad, they enjoy a steady stream of foreign fighters, arms, and cash from outsiders. And in recent months, they've begun openly fighting with non-jihadist rebel groups such as the FSA. A third player in this ongoing war are the largely homegrown Syrian Islamist brigades, including the powerful Islamic Front. These Islamists reject both Al-Qaeda-inspired groups and the leadership of the Free Syrian Army and compete with them over territory and influence. There are also Kurdish fighters. They are primarily interested in defending their communities and would like to establish an autonomous area, like the one in Iraqi Kurdistan. Here's how it breaks down geographically. The government controls most of the cities in western Syria, including Hama, Homs, Damascus, and the Mediterranean coast. Rebel groups, including the FSA, have been fighting all across the country, at times controlling different pockets of territory. Groups inspired by Al-Qaeda are most powerful in the north. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, known as ISIS, is a radical Islamist group and has long controlled Raqqa. It has been fighting other rebel groups, including Islamists. The porous border with Iraq makes it easy for the group to have a steady flow of men and weapons. The Kurdish militias control territories along the Turkish border. Believe it or not, that's the simple explanation. Look closer and it gets even more complex. They're believed to be hundreds, if not thousands, of individual rebel brigades scattered across the country that fall within one of these 4 groups. Unity remains elusive, both between the government and the rebels, and among the rebels themselves.
Allah Akbar!